everyone! Welcome back to Heartland Mamas.
I'm Heidi Henry.
And I'm Murri Briel.
And today we're going to talk about activism in the Heartland from the edge of the Great Red Divide.
What you can do, how you can get involved, no matter what your comfort level is.
How you can make a difference. And Murri, today I'm wearing one of my favorite ways to be an activist, and that's a banner t-shirt. I've got one for every occasion, and this was one from the Women's March that says, strong women, may we know them, may we raise them. And
I love that one.
I have an adult daughter, and I feel very passionate about empowering her, so we actually have these in matching shirts.
Aww, such a good mom.
Well, Rebecca and I, she's my right arm when I go to protests.
Right? Yeah, well, I was on Saturday, which brings us to, we were in Ottawa, Illinois at a healthcare rally for Planned Parenthood. Stand with Planned Parenthood rally.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. There was a nice diversity of people there. We lined the street block, an entire street block with signs and positive
family
energy.
Event. There were children to grandparents there.
Yeah, there and men, different aged men, husbands, grandpas. It was dads. It was great.
I made my husband stay home and trim the bushes.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I made my husband stay home and trim the bushes rather than come, but otherwise he's always there too.
I know.
So when we talk about activism, you don't have to go to a rally. You don't have to plan a rally. It can be as easy as picking up the phone and making a call. So we're going to talk a little bit about calling your congressman, which is probably the most common call people make when they're stretching out their activism roots.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think there's two types of activism. There is an issues-based activism.
Yes.
And then there is a campaign-based activism, an election-based activism. That doesn't mean that the two can't overlap or that they don't often, but there's definitely differences in the type of opportunities you have to influence things.
Well, and there's all different levels of being involved in a political issue, in a campaign.
Issue.
Yeah.
So they do overlap, but if you're more passionate, and we're going to talk in a little bit about who we can get rid of in the Senate, and if you're more passionate about that, you can volunteer. Even if it's not in your state, you can help out in different ways.
Oh,
pick a state. They're all around us. We don't have one here, but they're all around us that we can help out with. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But I want to start with our issues. Okay.
Sure.
So issue-based activism is something that's really important to you, whether you're vegan or animal rights, whether you're pro-choice,
healthcare,
whatever,
environmental,
children's issues,
kids in cages,
anything that is important to you. And that doesn't have to necessarily be political. I know some organizations want to stay apolitical.
Right.
But if your organization is willing to make it political, that gives you a little more push, that gives you more power.
Right.
So there's this woman who was a staffer in Utah, and she was a former congressional staffer.
Okay.
Her name is Emily Ellsworth, and after the 2016 election, which we're all still recovering from, she wrote the most effective ways to reach your congressperson. What's the most important? And she said the single most important thing you can do is pick up the phone and call your district office, not DC. But your district office.
So let me explain. I'll use my representative as an example. So Adam Kinzinger, who you wanted to run against in the 16th, has offices in Rockford and Ottawa, Illinois, and it's in Iroquois County, Watseka. So you can call one of those district offices, the one closest to you or anyone you prefer, or you can call them in Washington. The thing about calling locally is it impacts people locally, right in your area, right in Marseilles where I live, or right in Ottawa, right next door. And in Ottawa, we reach Greg Rettenauer, I think his name is. And, he's not always the most cheerful. However, I do feel it's important to call. I introduce myself. I ask for his name, even though I'm pretty sure it's usually Greg. And we talk about the issue at hand. I don't lose my temper. I don't yell and scream. I would never say obscenities. You just simply have a conversation with the person whose your tax dollars is paying.
And it can be as simple as, I called my representative, and I know my representative really well. It's Bill Foster,
who's
and
amazing.
he's a great guy,
Yeah.
and I'm very fortunate. And I called his office, and I talked to his district person and said, I am officially registering my vote as being in favor of starting the impeachment inquiry, because he has not come out. 10 out of the 18 senators reps in Illinois have come out for beginning the impeachment inquiry, and he hasn't. So
Neither's my rep.
Well, yours is, it's not, he's never going to come out with all that until he realizes it's the only way he's going to be able to do anything, but he won't.
He won't.
But, so, and they hadn't had enough calls yet.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not seeing on social media, and this is where social media can be effective. Okay, tweeting at your representative, tweeting at...
tweeting anger. Never.
Tweeting, yeah, but, and Facebook is the same. Where it's effective is when we post those things about this is your representative, and they haven't called for it yet. If you're in favor, pick up the phone, make a phone call. All you have to say is, I'm in favor of starting the impeachment inquiry. Give your name and address. Hang up. That's all. So you don't have to have a long conversation. But Emily talks about in her article, she talks about it's really important to get to know the staffers at the local level.
Right.
So you pick that issue. Let's say your issue is animal rights, dogfighting. It's allowed in your state. You think it's wrong. That's your issue. Or you can go to your congressperson and invite their staffer to come to one of your meetings. Invite your staffer out.
Yeah.
She said this is
so
important.
But I know my staffer.
I know you know your staffer, and he knows you, which is probably why the two of you will never have that relationship. But if someone else with the same beliefs as Heidi, who hasn't gotten a restraining order from her representative, and I'm kidding, she hasn't. That's totally a joke. Fake news. Totally a joke. We're fine.
I did find out, though, that when you call your congressman a liar, even when he is a liar, that doesn't go over really well, so don't do it.
But for those of you that are in the 16th of Illinois, and you have a group, you have an organization, Special Olympics, whatever it is, get to those staffers and make them feel connected to your cause.
Yeah,
even if it's something that their representative, their boss is against,
if it's clean
it'll
jobs,
still push your agenda forward.
It's environmental, Sierra Club, whatever, Open Prairies, be sure and let them know. And I have a friend of mine, Kathy, shout out to Kathy if you're watching, that is an animal rights activist. And she is frequently in our congressman's office representing an ordinary citizen just like us. And she sits down with them and explains her position on animal rights. And she has made a huge, huge difference. She's made changes in Illinois by being an activist, by getting out of her comfort zone. So I think that's amazing, that the ordinary person can step up and do something. And I know who my congressman is because I've been a political activist for so many years. You may not know. And there's this wonderful, wonderful website called openstates.org, openstates.org. And you can click on that, and we'll post the link later. And you can look up and see who your congressman is, who your senator is,
who your state level, your city level, your township level. Yeah. It's all listed there. So we'll make sure we post that link.
That make a difference in your life. Right. And the first time you make a call, it is a little scary because nobody likes to be yelled at, and that's not their job to yell at you. But it's
they typically don't. Okay, stop.
No, they don't.
Your experience is different from a majority of experiences.
Mostly they're good, you know.
I mean, and even if they don't agree with you on the issue, or you become a bother to them because they know your voice and they know your number, and they're like, all right, Murri, what is it now?
Right.
Just text Bill, okay? I don't know. I'm tired of you calling. It doesn't matter.
Well, and the thing is that it's not, what I was getting to is it's not scary to call. It's just like calling to order a pizza. You're just delivering a message. That's all you're doing.
So you can think about it that way.
Yeah.
Now, if you absolutely have social anxiety and cannot pick up the phone and call your congressperson, the next thing that is the second most effective is to write a personal letter, a handwritten letter
and
to your congressperson. Now, what happens, emails are fine. If that's what you're more comfortable with, but you have to remember, as the staffer for 6 years said, they have an algorithm. So every email that comes in gets scanned for keywords and
Yeah.
key issues and topics. They get batched out to the sides with those topics in them, and then they get form letter responded to until they go through them. She said the sheer number, they represented 500,000 people,
Right.
which is not, we other more populated states have a lot more. So the sheer volume was
It's
overwhelming,
overwhelming,
but
right.
a personal handwritten letter will get more attention.
And even better than that, because of the problem with letters is they have to open them, they have to make sure they're safe and so on, is send a postcard. Don't underestimate the postcards. I love to go down to my local pharmacy, independent pharmacy, and buy postcards from Illinois to send to my congressman to remind him where he lives and our needs here. And I just write a little note, dear Congressman Kinzinger, in favor of the Affordable Care Act. I'd like you to please vote yes on all measures supporting the Affordable Care Act. And then I sign my name, address, and phone number on the bottom and stick a postcard stamp on it and mail it. That way they don't have to open it. It doesn't have to go through a process. They just look and see it's there. They do scan those, but they're a little quicker, a little more timely, and kind of fun, fun to send. So.
There you go. You can send postcards too. So we were talking a little bit about social media. So, it's not to battle your representative on social media. Their staffers pick it up. Their staffers see it. The staffers are the ones who are going to read the emails, are the ones that are going to read the letters. And so on social media, that isn't effective. But what is really effective is if there's an issue or a hashtag or something that you're passionate about that pops up,
Yeah.
sharing that and tagging them, because that does get trending. They are
Right.
following that. They're not following all the comments. They're not going to engage. In a campaign, they're not going to engage in somebody. It makes no sense. No offense. They don't want, it would bring more attention to you, and they're trying to
Right.
downplay whatever you're doing. So by
Well-
ignoring you is usually the best option for them.
And a lot of people
But
will take to Twitter and Facebook just to rage because right now we're exhausted. We're meant to feel exhausted, and you're like, when kids video game, they call it rage quit. They just rage and then I'm done,
I have 3 boys.
Yeah.
Totally
So,
no rage quit.
so I didn't know what that was until my kids had to tell me, but they're adults now. Anyway, you need to make sure that you don't give up and that you don't surrender and that you don't lose your temper. Just be calm. Fighting, sending horrifying messages.
It can be firmly worded. It can be strong.
Yeah.
It can be very factual or emotional. Whatever you want it to be is fine. Just remain respectful, even if you disagree with your representative or you think that they're, the worst person in the world. Be respectful because,
Right.
that's the least that we can do.
I would never swear at my congressman. I may not like him. I may not like his votes, but I would never.
She's so good, isn't she?
Well, it's like I still respect the office, and I hope.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that. But I also wanted to say about activism. So we've said some things that you can do to connect with your congressperson.
Yeah.
And there's ways to be involved in your community. One of the things that I want to mention with issues is that you need, so if there's an issue and you're not getting a response from your congressperson,
I know how that is.
have a town hall. A town hall is extreme. Not you have a town hall. When they have a town hall, if
Show
they do,
up.
I know they don't. Some of them are very afraid. They don't have them. I understand and I feel your pain.
Yeah, I have my congressman hasn't held one in at least 9 years.
Right. So, it is very difficult if you're in that situation. But if you're not, and you're able to attend a town hall,
you go.
And they, she said they would have town halls where there would be 50 people, and it was always the same 50 people.
Yeah.
This is a guaranteed chance for you to get face to face with your congressperson. They can't escape. They have to talk to you unless there's a restraining order. Right?
With my. That's never
It's
happened.
not true. It's not true. It's just she has a vehement disagreement of political views with her representative.
And on the ACA, because I have a child with pre-existing conditions, and we'll talk about that later, but he's a grown-up now, but, when he lied to me, and I said he lied to me, Greg threatened to call the Capitol Police because I called my congressman a liar. It's a true story. I'm not afraid of it. I called the Capitol Police to give them directions to my house. They laughed because they said that it's not illegal to call your congressman a liar.
Uh,
And the thing is that being an activist and a mom, you get fired up about stuff that can affect your kid.
and when it's something you're really passionate about
Yeah.
and you have that involvement, whether it's a group, an organization, a Facebook organization, whatever level you're involved and active in,
Right.
if you're not getting the connection you need, then bring that group to the town hall.
Right.
Bring as many people as you can in support of your issue. That makes them take notice.
Right.
If nothing else, you can get media value out of it and try to bring attention to your issue. So those are things you need to be able to do.
And be ready. And I know at the ones that Kinzinger's, they're question and answer sessions. They're not.
I know. And he has mobile town hall.
Yeah, and he had one in Rockford and one in Pontiac, so you couldn't get to two further corners of his district, but they were packed, and because we weren't allowed to disagree or agree with them, we had green and red pieces of paper to hold up when we disagreed or when we agreed, and I don't think I ever picked up the green one, not once.
No.
Just me. But I want to tell you about something else that is easy activism. The thing is when it's easy, maybe it's not as much as you should do. Maybe you should do more. But I love to use ResistBot. And ResistBot is something I can do right from my phone. So I send a text. You text resist to 50409. And it's going to have you enroll. It will tell you where you're at. It doesn't cost anything. I send them a donation quarterly. And what they do is they send a fax to your congressman or senator or president or whoever you're talking to. They send it to their office in the form of a fax. And faxes are processed at a little higher level than a letter, okay? And they're electronic faxes. So they send that. They also prepare letters to the editor. And I don't want you to discount ever a letter to the editor. I know nobody really reads the paper anymore except for me.
They do. People do. There are still a ton of readership. It's just done online.
Right.
It's not done on paper.
I get 2 papers delivered to my house, the Sun Times and the Ottawa Times. And then I love the paper. And then I get a whole bunch of stuff online too, so I can read. But the thing about sending a letter to the editor is it gives you a chance to engage with other people in your community that may have the same feelings.
And raise awareness about what you feel strong about, connect with people. So there's so many various levels of activism when it comes to issues. But I want to talk a little bit about activism when it comes to campaigns.
Well, can I do one more plug?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Murri, you and I first met at an Indivisible meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Indivisible is a nonpartisan, group of activists, and I happen to work very closely with the Grundy LaSalle group and the 16 progressive group, and some with the Ottawa. I was one of the founding members of the Ottawa Indivisible group. And the thing that I want you to know is that when you go to an activism group like Indivisible, and we meet once a month over in Morris, you just feel like you're not alone. You feel like you're not alone. And that's the frustration a lot of us feel is we're home reading Twitter, reading Facebook.
And you're not in an area that's particularly blue with like-minded people. It can feel very isolating.
It can feel very isolating.
So reach out, find a group, any organization. There's progressive groups, there's Indivisible, there's Women's March, which used to be Pantsuit Nation, there's...
Those both still exist, Women's March and Pantsuit Nation.
But what we're saying is there are a lot of different organizations out there that you can join and become a part of and not feel alone and isolated.
All you do for Indivisible, it's indivisible.org, and it will let you know what organizations, what groups are close to where you're at. It meets once a month. To me, it was like 4-H. You go once a month for outreach and activism, a little emotional support, maybe some nice cookies or something to eat if somebody bakes. And you get a chance to get it off your chest with other people. And you form stuff like our group is having a healthcare summit September 7th over in Morris. And we'll talk about that again down the road. But because people have so many questions and they just need a place to go and get some answers, and we don't always have the answers, but sometimes just not being alone is the most important thing.
And sometimes two heads are better than one, which is the last thing I want to say about issues is the more power in numbers.
Yeah.
The more of you that feel the same about something, the more impact you can have. So connecting with groups, connecting with social organizations, connecting in any way that you feel comfortable is so important in making your voice in whatever's important.
Well, coming up, we all think about the presidential election, but Murri, we have to be able to control the Senate and the House.
So Heidi and I did a couple of posts about how important the Senate is.
Oh my gosh.
Today was magnified exponentially as another Democrat threw their hat into the presidential ring for 2020.
We need one more person.
Can I insert a meme of me just pounding my head?
How many people do we need? We don't need any more people to run for president. We need you to run for Senate.
Senate. Oh, I think I may have a concussion. I have a very hard hand, No, but what we'd like to talk about is we want to talk about, well, great. There are a ton of senators who are up for election. Some are more vulnerable than others, and they're all across the country.
I got to put on my cheaters for this
part.
part.
State because we have 2 Democratic senators, and so we're not in a vulnerable position. But there are many around us that are.
Yes.
We have them, and so there's ways that we can support them and put our work toward a race that really matters.
Right.
And so if there is someone who you are just very opposed to,
Susan Collins.
you can still I know. You can still be active and a part of that campaign even if you're not there. So we're going to go ahead and give you some information on that and who those senators are that are particularly vulnerable.
Well, So Susan Collins in Maine is up, and the thing with Susan Collins is that she was a strong yes for Kavanaugh, and I was a very strong no. So I took I took umbrage with her position. So I donated money right away to her opponent, which hasn't even been declared yet.
That organization, crowdfunding, popped up for her, whoever her eventual opponent is. They have already made $4 million for whoever her opponent is.
Some of that's my money, so I'm
So
excited.
there's different things that you can do.
Listen, I think I might go to Maine.
My issue with Susan Collins is the fact that she will pretend that she's going to do the right thing and
she
then chickens out, and then she won't even back up what she does.
Typical.
Kavanaugh was bad too. Very bad.
Typical with her though is and with McConnell. You just wonder what dirt they have on these people that they would behave in such a manner. So
I'm not sure that there's any dirt on them after how far down we have come. Roy Moore. Let's move on to another senator here. Yeah. Okay. So, but what I'm saying is, look at Doug Jones. He's in a vulnerable spot, but Roy Moore is coming in, and he is a child molester. He can't go to a mall. He should not be in the halls of Congress. But
I mean,
what he did the point.
The guy's an idiot. He goes into
that's a 3-head bump.
If you can't behave yourself in a mall with young ladies, with little girls. If you can't behave yourself in a mall, you have no business being in the Senate. Period.
Well, he's so much worse than that. But my hope or fear, it could go either way.
Yeah.
Is that Roy Moore is the embodiment of everything that the diehard Trumpers stand for. And I'm not talking even the 40%. I'm talking like the 28, 30% that are the Proud Boys, the men's clubs, the swastika wearing
111 percenters.
They're the ones and
well, and he played to that base when he came on to, I've been a gun owner most of my life. I've got a FOID card. I grew up hunting and stuff. I love to target shoot. I love to beat my sisters at shooting clay pigeons, But for him to walk out on stage and pull out his snub-nosed 38, are you kidding me? Who are you pandering to, really?
So that's just it. That is the base that he is, and that is what Republican congressmen and senators have been so afraid to alienate. They've been so terrified to come out of Trump because they know that base is gone. They know they can't have that middle. They need to cling to that. So it'll be interesting to see if as this campaign goes forward and as more candidates like Roy Moore come out of the woodwork, and you know they will.
We had an open Nazi in Illinois.
Yeah, they will come out of the
Nazi.
woodwork, the Nutters.
Yeah.
How much, with Trump head Nutter, how much of that is going to split, and who's going to be left in that middle section?
So
he's vulnerable. Doug Jones is not as vulnerable because he's got quackadoodle-doo, but we still wanted to bring him up.
Quackadoodle-doo.
So
Roy Moore is, and I'm a horse trainer, and every time I see pictures of him riding his horse, I get upset because he's in a horse's face. McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is in a very red area, but he is extraordinarily unpopular. I believe he's polling at 11% right now.
Yeah.
That's so important. I am going to be busting my tush every way I can to help out down there because we
may take a road trip to Kentucky and do some door knocking.
Oh yeah, we're going to tell you about a road trip coming up that'll be a lot of fun. Mitch is absolutely got to go in my opinion, but he's in Kentucky. So if you're on the East Coast, think about Mitch.
Well, Tillis is also in a battle state, right?
Tillis
in North Carolina.
Tillis.
Yeah.
His challenger outraised him.
$2 million.
By $2 million in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So he is vulnerable. North Carolina, get out, vote, spread the word. McSally in Arizona. Let's go West Coast over here. Okay? We got a couple. We got Gardner, McSally.
Yeah.
McSally is in Arizona.
But who's running against McSally? Mark Kelly.
Gabby Gifford's husband and former astronaut, Mark Kelly.
What's not to love? Former astronaut.
But here's the thing. If you remember with McSally, she did not win, and yet the governor appointed her. So the people didn't even get to vote for who they wanted. Their vote didn't count.
Right.
And so she's particularly vulnerable.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, give Mark Kelly love, help out when you can.
Well, and we talk a lot about the edge of the Great Red Divide. So let's talk a little bit about, let's see, Joni Ernst in Iowa. I mean, Iowa is one of those states where I spent a lot of time in Iowa last year after the election when my husband's great aunt was dying. And we drove clear to the furthest place you can go in Iowa, in southwest Iowa. And Iowa needs a lot of help. When we were driving through there was great fields, and this is in January, where nothing was harvested yet from the fall. They are suffering from the tariffism, okay, and followed by these record floods. And where my husband's great aunt had lived in Shenandoah, Iowa, a lot of it's underwater. So when you drive out through there, you see the devastation from the water, and you see the devastation from the tariffs, and you see the family farmers barely hanging on. Honey, you Iowans need new representatives. You need a new senator.
And I think it's going that way. I mean, we'll talk some other day about our local states, but I want to make sure that we hit those that are still vulnerable. So we have Pat Robert. He is not running, but he's in Kansas, and Kansas could easily go
Great Red Divide
another way. Yeah. Tina Smith in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, this is one that's personally an evil doer in my world, and that's Cindy Hyde Smith in Missouri. I would love to see her go. I've got friends from the Women's March in D.C., from St. Louis area, down farther in Missouri, and we are all going to fight like heck.
Cindy
Shout
Hyde
out
Smith,
to my girls.
We're gonna that might be another place
St.
we
Louis
go to walk.
girls.
You know,
they're horrible. So we want to make sure that, and then we have Lamar Alexander in Tennessee, and Steve Danner in Montana. So the ones that we're really, really have great chances at are, at least statistically, are McConnell, Collins, Gardner in Colorado. McSally, Tillis, David Perdue, John Cornyn,
Sorry.
Joni Ernst, Pat Robert, Tina Smith, Cindy Hyde Smith, bad year for the Smiths, Steve Danner, and Lamar Alexander. Now, there are other Republican senators.
Tom Cotton we'd love to get rid of.
Their districts are more safe. But that does not mean, if you particularly hate Ben Sass, I do. I've been blocked by him. If you particularly don't like Ben Sass the ass, I highly suggest you put your energy there. Because you don't know what can, in this current environment, anything can happen.
Well, and I look at Lindsey Graham down in South Carolina.
Lindsey Graham, God, I wish we could get rid of Lindsey Graham.
Holy
What
cow.
would Eileen do? Elaine.
Oh, Elaine Chow?
Elaine, yeah, what would she do?
Oh, she'll just take all of her money that she's gotten in erstwhile means.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go through who else is out there that is running that you may be particularly irritable about. So feel free to fight.
Cassidy in Louisiana. You know, there's I can't read my handwriting here. Somebody in, where is that?
Wyoming. West Virginia. South Carolina. Oklahoma. Nebraska. Louisiana, Cassidy. Reich, Idaho. Cotton in Arizona. And Sullivan in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, if any of those guys or gals really irritate you and you want to make a difference, we are almost out of time, but I'm going to say there are things you can do no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You can help them with organization. You can help them with social media. You can help them with donating. You can help them with phone calls. You don't have to be in that state to be involved. And there's some level of involvement. Now, if you want to be more involved locally, we'll talk about that too.
Right.
But we really wanted to let you know the importance of both being issues involved and campaign involved.
Well,
you could do either.
Simple things you can do, and I know it's very irritating, is when pollsters call you. Answer the phone.
Take the poll.
Take the call. It'll take 5 minutes out of your life, but it helps determine pathways. It helps determine issues and importance of issues. It helps determine who the different organizations are going to get behind, because sometimes those polls are not coming from the candidate. They're coming from the Sierra Club, or they're coming from the Forest Service, or they're coming from the firefighters or whatever, and they need to know how you feel about things. And it's
absolutely
becoming more and more difficult to compile data, because we're not.
It's becoming. I love that we're so much more active and able to be involved in different things, but we need to keep that level of activism up.
Right.
I'm going to start some things hopefully tomorrow, talking about the reps that haven't yet and pushing that out, so you make your calls. Those are things that are really important that we take care of. So, we just want to make sure that you have opportunities to get involved.
Lots of opportunities.
From not only issues, but also from campaigns. And we'll have lots more campaign stuff you can help out in another episode.
And we want to let you know that the debates are coming this week, the Democratic presidential debates. So somebody who's going to be on stage Wednesday or Thursday is going to be facing off against Donald Trump for the presidency. And I can't tell you how important it is to watch and see how these people respond.
And the cool thing is, Heidi and I are going to be popping in and out of Twitter and Facebook throughout the night. We'll be tweeting and Facebooking. We're going to
Wednesday
be in
will be
Kendall County.
Kendall County within Oswego.
Thursday will be in
Princeton at Bureau County.
In Bureau County.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be sure to tune in. But we'll have this tomorrow, or Monday.
I'm going to try to figure out how to do Twitter Live or Facebook
don't.
Live.
Please comment, like, subscribe. Our website is now up, and it links you to everywhere.
Everything.
We are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We are everywhere. So you have no excuse not to listen to us and tell us what you think. We're working on getting a more interactive system where you can tell us what you're thinking and we can respond to it or answer your questions.
We would love to have questions and do questions
and
answers.
So we also have a donate button. I know, right? We're hitting you up for money. You're like, you've only been doing this for like a month, really? Yes. And the reason is because it does cost money to host, to do this. And so anything that, if you feel like donating, would be great, but you don't have to. We will provide this service out of the
goodness of our hearts.
But please, heartlandmamas.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Heartland Mamas, MAMAS. We have a bunch of new subscribers to our website, to our podcast. So please share, let people know that we're here.
Sharing is caring.
And we will see you in the Great Red Divide.
Well, actually, we've got another show that will release Wednesday.
And then we'll be live Wednesday night.
Yeah. Well, Thursday. She says live, and I really think we should do...
No, we're not. You can vote and say yes or no, but I'm thinking that would be just another disaster.
We're going to do some interviews with people that about...
how they feel the debates are going, and
which candidate they favor and why, what issues are important to them, And
So we're going to get a feel for the local Democrats getting together to see what the next is. So we will talk to you on Wednesday. Thank you.
yeah, take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.